Welcome back to Open Line. We are talking with Dr. Shawn Joseph, the new director of Metro Schools. Schools start tomorrow here in Davidson County. Yes. So we're happy Dr. Joseph is here on the night before schools start. And just as we get to know you,
yes.
So you've been very busy in the time that you've been here. You've been reviewing lots of things. You've done 11 listen and learns and that kind of thing.
Yes.
You've certainly looked at Bransford Avenue.
Yes.
And the administrative offices. We get, that's an area that people talk about, debate about.
Sure.
What is your assessment of what you've seen thus far? Are you still assessing? Some people say there could be cuts there. Some people say no, we need more there. What is your assessment?
Well, we're assessing. We are the 42nd largest school district in America, with 87,000 children. So it takes a number of people to make sure schools get what they need. One of the changes that I did make was to make sure that schools and principals will be the focus of attention in terms of central office supports, and making sure that principals see people in their buildings understanding what their needs are and bringing about supports like they have not historically had as seamlessly done. So we realigned resources. We didn't add resources. We just realigned what we had to make sure we could do that better. But we will assess, and I think it's healthy for us in this first semester to look at if there's some fat there that needs to be cut, and we need to cut it and get it towards schools.
Do you have a sense that that's the case? Have you heard that's the case?
Yeah, I mean, people always are suspicious about central office folks. I mean, they like to see resources in schools, so that makes sense. And we're going to look to see if that needs to happen.
How the school board came together and unanimously asked you to come, I believe. That has not always been the case with the school board.
Yeah.
What is your relationship with the school board, and were you concerned about some of the fighting that you may have seen taking place prior to your arrival?
I wasn't concerned at all. I spent a year actually watching school board meetings. I mean, that was.
So you watched Davidson County School Board meetings?
I did.
For a year?
I did. I took it. Well, what happened when I knew I was applying for the job? You can go back and watch the reruns, I guess, if you will.
Right.
And I spent a year. And what I saw were 9 passionate individuals about helping things go better for children in this district. And I can tell you, I have had a great relationship with all 9 board members. They have all been actively engaged with me, kind of talking about their hopes and dreams for the school district. And at our first board retreat, we came together and really committed to focusing on doing this work and not getting distracted in some of the things that have divided us, but instead, focusing on one vision for the Metro Nashville Public Schools. And it has been an honor working with this full board. I mean, it's an experienced board, and they know what they need to do. They know the issues. I think each board member clearly knows his or her community and constituencies. And I am beyond excited about the future of our work together. We have another board retreat coming up soon where we're going to continue to talk about our communication protocols and really lay out a vision of moving forward and making the Metro Nashville Schools in the short term the fastest growing urban district in the country, and in the long term we just want to be the best.
One of those issues that's really maybe divided has been the charter school issue.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of charter schools? Where do you come down on that?
Yeah, I think we have some great charter schools in Nashville, and I think we have some that public schools can learn from. I think we got some public schools that some charter schools can learn from. Look, our goal in Nashville is to just have great schools, and we want families to have great options within this district. I think in Tennessee in general, our conversation about charter schools has just been way too narrow. Like, it's been like a good versus evil, high quality versus not quality type of argument. Well, and I would like our charter school conversation to really be about choice. We have some charter schools that might do a better job with a particular type of program than we could try to do if we created it on our own. So it makes sense to have a charter do that for us, so we can have science options, or maybe some immersion options, or some options we haven't even thought of yet. but I think they should be a part of a portfolio of choice. But we should have high quality choices with whatever we choose. And that's something we have to work on. We have a number of schools where, when we look at our data, it's just that data is not strong. And I think that scares parents when they look at, if they look at a particular score and see low scores, they might equate that as that's a bad school. And that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes there are challenges. Look, if a student comes to this school district and doesn't speak English at all, well, they may not score well on a test. Doesn't mean that they're not smart. Doesn't mean that they couldn't learn. They just don't speak the language. So their score doesn't reflect intellect. It reflects the fact that they don't speak our language yet. But when they learn our language, their scores will improve. But I think we've got to do a better job of telling our stories about the quality that exists in schools and get beyond just judging schools simply on a test score. But invariably, we've got to focus on quality, like I said, and I think there are some strong charter school options, and I welcome visiting some of those charter schools and really building a stronger collaboration to make sure we just have a strong portfolio of schools within the Metro Nashville Public Schools.
In the district you came from, was the charter school issue so divisive?
No.
Or we're kind of unusual here?
Yeah, like I said, I think the way our laws are written here and the way charter schools come about can create some contention. In Maryland, it's just different. Maryland, the local school district oversees the charter schools. So the charter schools are still supervised by the school district, and they attend all of the school district meetings, and they have autonomy in their curriculum and so forth, but there's much more collaboration, and the school district felt ownership of charter schools. And I think here that's not been the case. But I hope to build a stronger relationship where our charter providers will know that we want them to be successful because they're serving children in the Metro Nashville Public School District area, and we want them to visit our local schools, and we want our local folks to visit them, and we'll build a collaboration just to make sure there's quality all around.
That was a huge frustration, I think, of past leadership, just how divisive that issue became. And there was an urging, we've got to come together and not make this such a focus, such a contentious issue. Yeah. Do you think we can get past it? Just the fact that they've agreed on hiring you, so that's a step. Mm-hmm. Do you think we can really get past that divisive debate? I think we can.
I really do think we can. I think we need to, a lot of times we're fearful of the unknown. I think some of the people who argue that our public schools are not good have never stepped into one of our public schools, and vice versa. Some of us that think the charter schools are so bad have never stepped into a charter school. And I think the more we can actually sit down, see what's actually happening, and talk from fact, and and just focus on quality and focus on the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is we want Nashville to be known for extraordinary education and extraordinary educational options. We can get to that focus on that higher goal, and we just demand quality across the board. So just as we expect to hold charter schools accountable, we've got to hold our public schools accountable equally. And if we're willing to close charter schools for not doing well, we should have that same conversation about public schools that are not doing so well. But all along, we're providing constant support and really know what the quality factors are. And like I said, it goes beyond a test score. The conversation is way too narrow.
And when you start talking about test scores, that's a big issue. Yeah. Teachers have been very concerned. Well, a lot of people have been very concerned just about the number of tests and testing. I'm sure you heard that in your
absolutely
in your listen and learn. What have you heard specifically from teachers as you've listened and as you've been here, the time that you've been here? Yeah. Where do you think morale is, and what have you heard?
So lots of teachers have come out on these listen and learns, and they have appreciated the fact that we're listening to them. And I think they'll appreciate more when they see me doing something about what I've heard. And I've committed to them that they will be a part of our decision-making process. We've already started some focus groups with teachers around the district, where we're pulling teachers in to just listen about what's working and what's not working. As it relates to the testing, one of the things we're going to do this year is just kind of do a survey of here are all the tests that we give. Here are the ones that are required by the state, and here are the ones that are optional that we're doing. And we're going to try to understand, from your perspective, what tests are really important for you to help you improve your teaching and learning, and what stuff do you do just because we tell you to do it, but you really could care less that you're doing it, and you wish we didn't do it. And where we have the ability to take tests back, I think we do need to start pulling back, because I do agree that there's been a testing insanity in America, and we've got to do better.
Was what you've seen higher than like where you came from, again, Prince George's County, or is it just high everywhere in America?
It's high everywhere. Yeah. We've been on a testing frenzy over the past decade, and I think the good news is people recognize that now, and we got to be more thoughtful about what we're assessing. I mean, I do think assessment is important. And look, we got to know where our kids are in reading and mathematics and science, and if they're not doing well, we've got to be able to interject and do something about it. But we can overkill. We can overtest, and I think we've been there, and now we've got to bring some thoughtfulness into the equation and slow it down. I think people were trying to do good, but weighing a pig over and over doesn't make it fatter.
And you said you've heard from teachers, and when the year is over, you feel like they'll know that you heard them.
Yes.
And I'm interested in that. That's interesting. So you're already doing some focus groups. Mm-hmm. Was there some heavy-handedness, you think, before, or in what way? How would you quantify that they will know that you have heard them?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know what the previous history has been. I mean, I do know that my predecessor did some great things in this district. I mean, he came in a very kind of tumultuous time in the district, and we saw great progress. I mean, we celebrated on Friday some of the achievement levels, particularly in math. I mean, we've seen dramatic improvement in mathematics performance in this district, under my predecessor. So, kudos to him and all the hard work he and his administration, had did. I think one of the things I recognize, though, is that if you're really going to have dramatic change, change has to come from the bottom up, not the top down. And the people closest to the work need to be involved in some of the decision-making processes, or you don't get buy-in. You don't get long-term sustainability. It's one of the reasons we changed our principal hiring process this year, because we recognize, look, I know what skills are needed for a good principal, but I don't know the specifics of, Pearl Cone High School per se. I mean, but the principals, the teachers at that school, the parents at that school, the business community at that school, they live there every day. The students at that school, I mean, they know what they need and want. So, it makes sense to me to have them as a part of that process. And, I bring 4 or 5 candidates to them that I think all could be a principal. I'd hire any of them and let them say, so who do you think, if you had to pick, who do you think is the best one? And with that feedback, it's been invaluable, and I think we've made some very dynamic hires as a result of getting them involved.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you're on the line, hold on, and if you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.